Hello, welcome pen friends. It's time for the progress report on Chris's inked pens for July 2021. I can't believe it's almost the middle of the month already in July 2021, and things are going really well with these 8 pens. First off, I've refilled the Ultra Flex, but we'll talk about it all in detail. And then I've swapped a nib on one of the pens, and I've even changed ink in one. So I made a swap from, it turned out that I wanted a brighter purple, that's all. But we'll go through that. And I've got my CVS Caliber notebook and my Tomoe River notebook to look in. And then I've also got a little paper that I do my letter writing. It's a 52 GSM Tomoe River paper ready because we may want to do a little scribbling. So I've got all these are the ink tiles, and we'll set those aside. Well, let's start in here. This is the little Kaweco Tomoe River paper, and I want to make this a little bit closer for you. Let's see. Okay, so first up we've got the Noodler's Ahab, the clear one, and it's got the Fountain Pen Revolution Ultra Flex. I don't know what I'm trying to call it. I just refilled it this morning because I had written it dry. It is an ink guzzler. So if you're looking to use some ink, just get an Ultra Flex nib. So this is the Robert Oster Australian Opal Gray, and it's really nice. It gets an A+. Like this is an honor roll system here. I mean, this has really gone well. I think that I'm still going to end up liking the Graf von Faber-Castell Stone Gray better for my medium nib pens. But it does really nicely in this flex nib, and it's done okay in a broad nib. I've been doing that in one of my experimental side trips there. So, okay, so that's the first one. And like I said, I wrote it dry, and that has a pretty good capacity in the converter, so really enjoyed it. Next up is the TWSBI VAC 700R Iris with a broad nib. And that gets an A++. It is just super. And with that Colorverse Gravity Wave, I'm getting all kinds of red sheen. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you, but I'm going to try. It's very challenging when you're just working with a phone. That's the way it is, though. And I just want to be grateful for what there is to work with here. But definitely an A++. This is the ink tile here, and even the red sheen even shows up on that. And I'm really crazy about the combination. I'm glad I didn't stay just stuck on only filling this with purple, because that would limit the pen, and there's no sense doing that. Okay, so next up is an old favorite, because I really love these TWSBI Ecos with the medium nib. That's my favorite thing, because I can really kind of count on the medium nibs for my journals, for both my Leuchtturm and my other little journal, which is a Flight Diary of Love right now. And it's Kaweco Ruby Red in it, and it's just excellent. Yeah, I have absolutely no complaints, and I'm using the fill. I'm enjoying it. Just wonderful. And actually, I think this is, if I remember right, I have had such good luck with this ink compared to other red inks. I remember having it in my Tombow Object for a long time with a medium nib, and I didn't have dry outs. I didn't have any trouble, and so I really feel confident this will work good all the way through the fill for me to use in my journals. And I always want at least one red ink pen filled up. So, okay, and then next up is the blue, transparent blue TWSBI Eco with a medium nib with Monteverde Horizon Blue, and I'm finding that the same. Actually, it's not a medium nib, it's a broad nib. If I said medium, I'm wrong. It's somewhere between a medium and broad, but you can tell the difference, and especially with this ink, it's nice and flowy. It's working really well. I love it. And I probably better, I can't talk much faster, but probably better go right along, because I really want to show you the CVS Caliber too. So let's see, next. Okay, next is the pen that I actually swapped the nib on. I started out, this is the Opus 88 Omar in the clear, and I started out with it with a 1.5 Opus nib, and I did change that nib unit to the broad one. So I am writing with it with the Opus broad nib, and I like that a little better. I don't want to make any kind of generalization, but I did give it a B+. Even with the broad nib, I'm kind of like not quite ready to grade it up yet. It feels just a little bit dry, but I'm still getting used to the individual nibs on these. They've been very consistent, and I'm just thinking that maybe I'm going to end up thinking that this ink is a little dry, but I'd love to see this actually in that Fountain Pen Revolution nib. I just think that would be wonderful. So that's been crossing my mind too. So next up, this was where I did the swap, okay? I had in this little Genhao 992 clear edition, I have a TWSBI broad nib on there. It's a number 5 nib. And I love this Birmingham Allegheny River Twilight, but I was really craving a bright purple, and I finished the fill. So I thought, well, go for it, you know. So I got out all my really bright purples, and I ended up settling on Ackerman number 13. It's just a sample. I don't have a bottle of it, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful dark saturated purple. And I said, awesome little pen. Yeah, A+. I love it. Now, it's funny that I would want to change it. I guess too, I had the gray, and maybe I just overdid it because I had just finished a fill with another dusty purple. It was the Robert Oster Muddy Crown. I think that was it. I just was sort of maybe tired of dusty purple. So I wanted a bright, and that's what I did. So that was that. Yeah, so okay, I already refilled that one. And then next up was the Genhao X750 in pink, and I've got the beautiful sort of magenta bright Roaring Klinger Solferino, and I give it an A. It's excellent. I mean, it's by the time we do the actual report card, it might have a A+, because it's just going so well. Let's see how much I've managed to use. I'm not sure. Well, I would have thought it was more, but then I'm using several pens, and I'm writing a letter every morning. I've got to catch up, or I'd like to catch up. Let's put it that way. So yeah, an A, very, very good. I love that ink, and it's so bright. And yet, you see how different it is from the, you know, it's far enough different that it's very pleasing to me to have these two bright ones inked up at the same time. Okay, and then last but not least, the Moonman M600S with a broad goulet nib. Let's see, make sure I'm telling the truth. Yep, broad goulet nib. And I have Noodler's Golden Brown in here. Let's see, I've given it a B++. I'm trying for an A. Very nice on Tomoe River. The stub could be even nicer. Okay, so I think that the reason why I'm dinging this pen is it's not the pen's fault. It is probably because I've been on so much Caliber paper, and there is a big difference. I've even been writing a few letters because I was trying to kind of adjust myself if I'm unable to get Tomoe River paper for a little while, or if it does disappear, which now I'm learning from other viewers that may not happen, or it may just be a temporary disruption if and when it happens in the fall. Anyway, it's a B++, and I know that on Tomoe River, it's just extremely good. That's what this is, and it's been extremely good. I feel just a little bit more feedback with this nib. This is the second nib I got on a Serendipity, and it wasn't tuned the way the first one. This is my Serendipity that I keep handy on the desk. This one was tuned so smooth, so buttery smooth. So there was a difference that I can actually feel in the nibs. Wait a minute. No, this is a goulet nib. Huh, very interesting. I'm still wondering about the ink. I don't ever see a Noodler's ink as being dry. So something might be going on. I might even need to look at the feed, and I know it's been cleaned really well. Geez, I hate it when I make a mistake about which nib I have in a pen. But anyway, we got to get, that's what this is for, a progress report. It's not a report card. We're just getting there. Whoops, that was the tile for the ink. Anyway, I'm thinking that if I was using it more on Tomoe River paper, then it would get a higher grade automatically. But let's hop into the small CVS Caliber notebook, and we'll look at what I did in there, and then we'll see if there's anything else we want to scribble with or write with. See if you can see this. Whoa, okay, I got a little bit of glare there. Okay, so I'm going to hold that up. I really want you to be able to see it. The Noodler's Ahab with that Fountain Pen Revolution Ultra Flex is doing really well on the Caliber paper. It's wet enough. It is an ink guzzler. This is the second fill, like I said, and it's really, really good on there. And so is the second one, the TWSBI VAC 700, the Colorverse Gravity Wave. Plenty saturated and plenty wet enough to go across the paper. The two TWSBI pens, no problem on here either. It doesn't drag, and it's really been good. But the Pelikan Edelstein I wanted to call it something else. The Aquamarine, it's a bit dry. I put nib change. Yes, okay, that's the pen where I did change to a broad nib. And I know these write really, really wet, so I'm just wondering if it's the change in ink. I'm not very familiar with Pelikan Edelstein inks. I haven't used them very often. I've done a few reviews from ink flights. So that's something for me to really pay attention to, but I didn't have that same issue on Tomoe River paper. So you know, the paper really makes a difference. And then over here on the little Jinhao, the 992, it's great on here. It's great on the CVS. I haven't had any trouble. And I haven't with the Jinhao X750 with the Roaring Klinger Solferino. However, the last pen, the Moon Man, with the broad goulet nib, okay, it looks great, but I felt I feel the drag a bit dry, it says. And that's not all that unusual. The other thing that could be causing me to notice it more with these two pens, because those are excellent pens and nibs, I've used them with many inks, is the fact that I'm now using two of these Ultra Flex nibs, and they can spoil you as far as really pouring the ink down on the page. Oh my word, you know. So that's just something for us to keep in mind. Of course, this paper has plenty of ghosting, but it doesn't bother me. And then, well, this does too. This is that Tomoe River paper. Whoops. Whoops, that was June. Okay, here we are in July. Let's see if we can get a good look at it. Yeah. So that bothers some people, but to me, it doesn't. It doesn't bother me at all. We had almost a little seepage with the Noodler's ink. So I know that's a nice wet. Wow, that just pours right down on the page. Of course, now you can't see too much if we flip back to June, because I'm using, I cut something off. I don't know what happened. Okay, so let's see, we'll bring our paper around, and I just wanted to check, maybe I'll just check on a couple of the pens and see if I can get a different impression on the 52 on this paper. Let's see. I think probably the one, yeah, well, where I changed a nib, you know, if I go to that trouble, changing a nib in the midstream, that was a little concern. So let's try that again. We'll just try it on here and just, okay, I can, you know, I feel a little bit of feedback, but it's not that bad at all. Opus 88, Omar. Now this is the clear one with the broad unit. Okay, so I did swap that out. Pelikan Edelstein Aquamarine. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, it's going, whoops. Oh, please focus, especially when we're showing all that shine. Maybe if my hands are there too. Yeah, so it's going down nice and wet, and it's just a little bit different feel. So I'm very sensitive to that. I just don't like feedback. I like a nice, so I would probably choose a different ink for this, that's all. I haven't really put the nib under a loop, but it's a fantastic looking nib so far. Okay, what was the other one that I was thinking about? Oh, the Noodlers. Let's try that last one. I don't mean this to be a complete repeat of we've already tried these in the first video. This is really a checking in and sort of a discussion of how, yeah, this feels really, really good on here. Much wetter than that one. So I'm thinking ink. I really am, because there is hardly any difference that I can see in the tipping on those two broad nibs, you know, and they're made by the same company. So M600, I mean, they have different branding on them, that's all the difference. S with the broad goulet. And Noodlers golden brown. Somebody told me to try this in a stub, and I really want to. I've got my other 1.5 in a blue pen right now, but I could pull them out. I just pretty much have found permanent homes for these nibs, and I haven't been moving nibs around quite as much. Except for in the case of the Omar, it's a nib unit that screws in and out, so I don't feel like I'm having to disturb the feed and the nib every time. You know, I like to take really good care of them. So that is pretty much all, except maybe we'll, since you didn't get to see me actually write with this one, let me get us closer. This, well, we wrote with it, but we had the light purple ink in it, so it was a whole different thing, and now we've got the Aquamarine ink in it. So let's just go ahead and try that. Oops, I have been posting it a little bit more. You know what, I went on to see how much these cost, and you can still get, I think it's like 6 of them for $11 or $12 on Amazon. They come with the translucent, a whole bunch of different colors, blue and clear and like a golden color. So I was really curious, but then the single pens seemed to be more compared to if you bought a set. So it was, it's like, why couldn't they just have one for $2? But okay, so this is a Jinhao 992. Oh my gosh, this feels really nice here, especially for a little number 5 nib. Clear with a broad TWSBI nib. A Franken pen, but in a good way. With Ackerman. Number 13. Simplicities. IES. Sorry for that. Violet. Okay. Coco's taking a nap right now, so we're getting a free pass on having him sit in the ink. Poor thing. It's just so hot. And he's taking a nap. But okay, so that went down really wet too. And I find that really nice for a small nib like that. I don't think I'm not going to take that nib off. I'm going to leave it right there. And I'm just going to keep writing with this one. It'll be really hard not to ink it up every month, because there's something about, you know, getting such a good deal on a pen and then having it write so well and act so good. I just love it. It feels like super, super nice. Okay. Okay, you know, it's like writing up there as well as a $100 pen, you know, that's wonderful. Okay, so that was just a little practice, and I think that's where we're at. I've got other things going, you know, that I'm experimenting with, but I really didn't want to have it overwhelm this video, so I'm just sticking with the original 8. So that we can, notice how I'm always saying we, so that I can concentrate and really know what these combinations, you know, how they did. And so far, like I said, it's already an honor roll. I mean, if I had to grade them right now today, they're all A's and B's, and with the possibility of moving up the scale. So I hope everything's going well with your writing. I'm doing a ton of workbook stuff and note-taking, and today my new book came in. I had ordered Love People Use Things by the Minimalists. I'll link it down below, but I'm really enjoying it so far, And I, as usual, got 2 or 3 books going at the same time. But so I hope everything's going well for you, and that maybe this discussion might have helped you a little. I mean, I like, I almost changed the ink in the Noodler's Ahab, but it was doing so well, and I used it so quickly that I'm sure the next 2 weeks I could definitely finish that fill, and I'll get to know that Australian Opal Gray even better. But it was tempting to just flush it out and try a different gray, but then, excuse me, that wouldn't be giving it the whole month of a try. And then I am glad I went to a broad nib. I think that changed it doesn't feel as dry with that. And super fun to change to the bright Ackerman violet there. Anyway, I could talk forever, but it's probably not a good idea. So I'll see you on the next video, and I hope you're doing well. Bye for now.